determined. We have another question. Is there a potential data integrity issue? During a review of electronic batch records, it was observed that a supervisor signed for an action performed by another operator. That operator was unable to sign as she was away due to illness. Is that a data integrity issue? Yes or no? How many people say yes? How many people say no? Okay. The yeses have it again. The documentation does not attribute the work to the operator that performed it. Remember, attributable is one of the Alcoa um, attributes that needs to be. Let's do it again. The yeses have it. The documentation does not attribute the work to the operator that performed it. Completion of the task should have been documented contemporaneously by the operator who performed it. So again, remember the Alcoa attributable was one of them, was the first one. And it has to be attributable. We have to be able to determine exactly who made this entry into the record, who did this activity. And again, contemporaneous. It needs to be done at the time that the activity was performed. So, although, if you remember the question, although the employee was ill and couldn't sign it, if the employee actually was doing the activity, then the employee should have been signing or creating the entry in the record at the same time the activity was taking place, and there would not have been a reason for a supervisor to step in for that. Now, things do happen in life, and say that that employee just suddenly fell sick right as they were doing the activity, right as they completed the activity. Then in this case, if we go back, let's go back real quick. So in this case, where someone was reviewing the electronic records and they found that the supervisor signed in place of the operator, um, they should raise a nonconformance or a deviation. They should do some investigation of this and determine what actually happened and how is there proof that the activity was actually done, and how are they tracing this activity. There needs to be some kind of investigation, documented investigation initiated because of this issue. So now we have time for an activity. We're gonna break into 2 or 3 teams. So if you guys are half of this room here, I'd like for you to be a team. You guys can be a team, and I would like for you guys to be a team. Okay? We're gonna take 10 minutes to identify the most common causes of data integrity breaches. So we're going to try to see if we can think about why would data integrity issues arise in a manufacturing facility? What are the top causes? Then as a class, we're going to vote for 3 of the most common causes from those shared by the teams. Okay, so we're going to have 10 minutes, and then we'll discuss ideas about how to avoid those data integrity issues. Okay, so your time starts now. Okay, we are back. I'm glad that you guys, it seems like you guys are very, very well involved in these discussions. I heard a lot of good causes, and just because we didn't vote for it does not mean it's not a good cause. So I heard a lot of good causes, but we did talk about a couple we did vote for 3 that I would like to talk about. The first one is performance pressure. That is a big one. A lot of employees are under pressure from upper management. And if there's not an overall culture of compliance, there's not overall heart to do the right thing, and it's all performance driven, that actually drives behavior to create data integrity issues by retesting compliance, getting rid of out of spec um, uh, results, out of specification results, um, not feeling comfortable enough to share that there's a problem and trying to fix it outside of what the procedure says. Let's see, we got fear of mistakes. That one is a good one too because then it kind of ties into that performance pressure because a lot of companies make their employees feel like you're gonna lose your job, you're gonna get some type of demerit or something if mistakes come out of your department. So that just drives an iron fist where the employees think that they cannot make a mistake, which is not the case. As regulators, as auditors, we expect mistakes to happen. What we want to see is that you have processes and procedures in place to mitigate those risks, to make sure that you prevent the issues. Make sure that if you find that there is a problem, that you do an investigation, that you use your investigative tools like Fishbone, and you try to figure out, you determine what your root cause is, and you make sure that you prevent that from happening again. You have some type of effectiveness check that you continue to monitor that operation for a period, a specified period of time to determine whether or not the to make sure that the correction that you put in place, to make sure that it is effective. And then we had a couple that we wanted to toss up. Oh, this was a good one. Shortage of staff and excessive work pressure can lead to inaccurate and incomplete documentation, and that's true. If you don't have enough people to do the operation, then that it opens up uh, spaces for error to take place in documentation. If you have a staff member trying to multitask, do too many different operations at once, there is likely they will forget to fill in this step, type in this step. It's likely that they will forget that because they're overworked, and that happens a lot in a lot of different manufacturing operations, as well as laboratory operations. And I know I mentioned manufacturing a lot of times, but this extends to laboratories as well. Um, and then I know we have more than three, but training. Training is also a top contributor to data integrity issues. Not enough, not detailed enough training where the employees know that what they are supposed to do if there is a problem, if they make a error in documentation, how to correct that, how to follow each step correctly in order not to create a data integrity issue. Those were some very good answers, very good participation. I appreciate it. Let's move on. Let's talk about how to avoid data integrity issues. First, you need to create an environment. This is very important, where systemic controls and processes are implemented in order to prevent and detect data integrity issues. This is where you have your audit trail. This is where you have your user roles identified and correctly um, programmed into your computer systems, your software systems, where people without access to one level of one authority role don't have that access, cannot get into that. These are the type of things. These are the type of processes you want to have in place. Procedures on what to do if you have issues. Where quality issues, including potential data integrity issues, are raised and addressed within the quality system. So when your quality group get together, the management, your leaders in your quality, in your operations, when they get together to discuss issues around the plant or around the laboratory, data integrity issues are included in that. It is important. It is a bullet point. It is a topic. It is discussed, tracked, and resolved. You want to create an environment where that encourages employees to raise issues and ask questions, including any potential data integrity issues or questions. You want your employees to feel safe, that they can come and say, there's a problem. What do I do to fix it? How do I fix it? Without feeling like they'll lose their job or get some kind of um, not recognized for something later, or it would affect their PMAPs or like um, their performance. Create an environment where that encourages employees to raise issues and ask questions, including any potential data integrity issues or questions. You have to create an environment where the employees feel safe to tell you that something's wrong. Again, auditors, regulators in the industry, we don't expect your operation to be mistake proof. So if something happens, the employees need to be able to come to you and report that versus feeling like they have to somehow sweep it under the rug. That's where data integrity issues can come from. And you want to create an environment that emphasizes the importance of ethics and compliance and our individual responsibility to ensure the integrity of our work. And this right here, to me, is most important because this is the morals and values of the individual person. As a company, you want to be able to create an environment that brings out the intrinsic motivation in people and individuals that they want to do the best they can do with their and what they for what they are responsible for. They want to do the best they can do for what they are responsible for. That it feel that it's their drive to do the best that they can and do the right thing, even when no one is looking. I call that creating a culture of compliance, a heart for compliance, because our patients, and remember who our patients are. Our patients are our mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, cousins, spouses, grandmothers, babies. Those are our patients. So when you are operating in a facility and you are responsible for an operation, you want to operate in the highest integrity that you can operate in, doing the right thing, what is supposed to be done, regardless of the consequences. So, what if we find an issue? What should we do? Follow these steps. Inform your supervisor immediately. Tell the person that's above you. Depending on what the problem is, you might want to stop the operation so that you can let somebody know. Raise a deviation or nonconformity, depending on what you call it in your facility. It could be an atypical result, whatever you want to call it. You want to do an investigation, a documented investigation in a validated system. Your supervisors should inform the senior management, and then as a group, as a department, you investigate the gap and remediate that. And the remediation will come in forms of, again, investigating using your investigative tools, as well as doing a correction or a containment, something to fix what's happening right now. But then you also want to create a preventative action, something that will keep this correction going and prevent it from happening again, along with an effectiveness check to be sure that the fix or the correction actually works. Okay. So this brings us to the end, and you should have learned by now how to recognize the purpose of data integrity, identify the requirements, describe the impact of data integrity issues on the patient, the organization, and yourself, as well as my last bullet. Where is it? Identify data integrity risks and issues and take appropriate actions to resolve them. I'd like to end with this quote that I added to the end of this slide deck. Knowing what's right doesn't mean much unless you do what's right. Thank you very much for attending my training. If you have any questions or you want to contact me, please feel free to contact me, and we can open it up for discussions right now if you have any additional questions for me.